Imagine it's a Tuesday morning, and you notice your child's laundry is full. You need to do that laundry, but you don't want to wait for the dryer. You have errands to do, and if you do the laundry now, they'll sit in the dryer and get wrinkled. You notice it's a beautiful, sunny day outside. You decide to go, put the laundry in, wait 28 minutes, and then hang dry all of them, or they will wait for you, dry and wrinkle-free, when you come back from your errands. From RWCE6, it's this Pueblo life. We are Red Weather Christians. I'm Steve.
And I'm Jen.
And we are expats living in Spain, trying to restore faith in humanity, one story at a time.
On this season of Red Weather Christians, we'll be highlighting the feel-good stories that make us smile and remind us of the good in humanity.
We hope that as you listen, you become more mindful of the good. And that if you don't see it, you do it.
Or you be it. Okay, so, as you might have gathered, we do not own a dryer. Actually, you might not have gathered that. I'm telling you, we don't own a dryer. We don't own one at all. We have to hang dry all of our clothes all of the time.
It's just not a thing in Spain.
It's not, well, so...
Dryers, that is.
Right. When we moved into our house, we saw that there was room for a dryer and that the previous owners had a dryer, a super old, crappy looking dryer. And so we thought, well, we'll get a dryer. We just assumed, of course, we'll get a dryer. There's a spot for it. Why wouldn't we get one? But as we are living here and as we are learning here, we have learned that the reason so many people don't have dryers is that the electricity hookup isn't really totally capable of handling a dryer. That kind of electricity capacity.
Wattage, amperage.
There we go. Words. Thank you. And so while you can have a dryer and you can plug it in and you can run it, it might take 2.5 hours or 3 hours to dry your clothes of just hours of running and using electricity.
And spinning your clothes, causing friction, damaging them, maybe pulling a string.
Yeah.
And extra cost for dryer sheets or the electricity itself or the dryer itself. Lots of things. When we had Terry and Guillaume come and stay with us for a week, I was apologizing to her, saying, "Oh, I'm sorry, we don't have a dryer yet." And she looked at me and she said, "Why are you getting a dryer?" And my jaw dropped. I was like, oh my gosh, you're right. Why? The weather here is so nice. It's so sunny. There's often a breeze. And we just have a couple drying racks up on our rooftop terrace. And they dry in sometimes under half an hour. It's so fast. Now, granted, the time you have to invest in hanging that set of clothes is more.
Now, I'm so glad you mentioned that, Steve, because that is what our episode today is all about. The slow life, or life in the slow lane. That was the title you wrote down. I liked it.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, because it's tedious, right? It's tedious to hang dry every single piece of clothing. And then if it is a little bit windy, clothespin every single item of clothing.
And then secure your drying rack so that it doesn't blow over.
We create these blockades and with our chairs and the lounge and all the things up there.
Yeah, because they'll just tip over.
Yeah.
They're probably tipped over right now.
Yeah, they might be. There are sheets on them. They're like sails up there.
And we have had, at the apartment we were at, we had a towel or two blow off.
Oh, yeah.
The rooftop terrace. And then it was like, oh, we got to go ask our neighbor.
Shoot. We made the boys do it.
Yep. But we got that towel back.
We did. We sure did.
Now, why else should you go a little bit slower in life? Well, let me tell you. Who wins the race between the tortoise and the hare?
Oh, classic story. You guys know the answer to this.
Should know the answer.
Oh my gosh.
Spoiler alert.
If you don't,
Spoiler.
Did you have a childhood? I don't know. This is an Aesop's fable, isn't it?
It is.
Hello.
He probably shouldn't get all the credit for that. It's probably been a fable for eternity.
Tortoise and the hare are having a race. Obviously, the hare is faster. Duh. And the tortoise obviously is slow. It's a tortoise. But of course, what ends up happening, the hare gets cocky and just like, oh, I can like do whatever I want. Like, I'll just take a nap or whatever. Cause I know I'm so fast. Like at any point I can just wake up and go win the race like real quick. But the tortoise is just like trucking along. Just trucking along.
Yeah, they truck for sure. That's what I would say.
Okay. Well, what would you say?
They just walk.
Okay. Crawl.
I said walk.
Anyway, so yes, the tortoise wins. He wins the race. Spoiler alert.
So we're going to bring it to the human life. Who wins by racing through life?
Fast runners.
Okay, so so maybe runners and athletes aside. We'll just put them off to the side. But
slow people.
Who are you really competing with?
Slow, fast. Fast people, slow people.
You're just guessing. You can't. You can't. That doesn't work.
Why don't you just say the point that you're trying to make?
Some of it is rhetorical, perhaps, Jen.
Oh, okay.
Who are you really competing against?
Yourself,
that you need to go.
Steven, you're always competing against yourself, right? Is that the answer?
It can be.
Okay.
But we're not racing each other to see who can go through life faster. We actually want to do life together, so I have to go at your slow pace.
You're welcome.
It's that when you slow down, you are able to see things better. Also, we recently discovered via email from my junk mail.
Junk mail. Yes, good thing you checked it.
I thought it was just spam, but, it had certain elements to it that looked too real and too oddly official. Like, it said that we were conducting our car in a manner that was too fast.
Oh, shoot.
And we were never pulled over, so I didn't know what this was about. It had a link. Do I click the link to see
Don't click the link!
Do we see what's happening?
Never click the links.
But Spain has radars set up periodically, and they will just scan your license plate, and then the address that's associated with that car or the account, they'll just send you a fine.
Yes. It's a little Big Brother-ish. I don't love it, but also I would be totally traumatized if I got pulled over by a cop. That's not just in Spain. That's just at all. The first time I was ever pulled over when I was a teenager for speeding, I cried and got out of the ticket. And he's like, just do better next time. I'm like, I will, officer. I promise.
Until now, when you got the other one.
Oh, you're blaming it on me. It was for sure you.
We actually don't know who was driving.
So we can't blame each other. Darn it.
It doesn't give us the time of day. It doesn't tell us where. It's just in the region of Valencia. You were exceeding the speed limit.
I do not like that. Give me at least where I was so I know. Because some of these roads are like old agriculture roads. And there isn't a speed limit posted the whole way. Sometimes there isn't. It's like so slow. And literally nobody goes that slow. It's like 20 kilometers an hour. How fast is that in mileage, Steve? That's like barely moving.
It's like 12.
12? 12? Nobody drives 12 miles an hour. Oh, come on. So if it wasn't on one of those country roads, like, yeah, I'm screwed. We all are. Like, literally any car at any time on any part of the road for any reason.
What we're trying to say is it's a big reminder to us.
It's going to get a ticket.
It's a big reminder to us to slow down.
Yes. Okay.
What are we really gaining by going that fast on the roads?
Yeah. Okay. I'm still just a little bit bitter that we got a speeding ticket. Because I don't speed except for the country roads. So that's where everybody else is going
You heard it here first. She's definitely admitting that she's the cause of the ticket.
You go faster on the country roads than I do.
You don't know that.
I do. I've been in the car with you. Okay, moving on. Sorry, we are squabbling. And that is not a very positive thing to do, is it, Steve? Let's find something good about all of this. Ooh, up next, one of my favorite subjects is, drum roll, sourdough bread. So you guys know that I bake sourdough bread. I have been baking sourdough bread since about 2013 or so. I feel like it was about a year after Asher was born. And one of the reasons I started is I noticed the laundry list of ingredients in bread that we would buy at the store. And I thought there's just got to be something better than this. I don't want to eat this. I don't want my family eating it. And so I started down the sourdough bread road, going the speed limit. And
The sourdough bread road kind of sounded like the yellow brick road as you were saying it.
Yes! Follow the sour bread road.
That's what I heard.
Follow, 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 follow.
I don't know why. I don't know the way you said it. And then you sang it, so.
There you go. You're welcome. You always get a little singing. This is what my students were always used to in my classroom. She's always going to sing a little bit, have some funny voices. So I start my own sourdough starter, which uses lactobacteria from the air, which I think is very cool. And basically it's fermenting. Sourdough starter is water and flour that is fermenting. And it is, you can see it bubbling and rising, and that turns into what you use to make the entire batch of bread rise and be yummy. So sourdough is different than using commercial yeast. Commercial yeast was made from a single isolated strand of yeast, which means it's reliable, it's convenient, it's fast. It's like the hare and the tortoise and the hare. It's fast. People like that. People like convenient and reliable and fast. So you're getting these bread loaves that are coming out similarly every single time. That is nice. I don't get that with sourdough. But this is the issue. Sourdough's long process is what makes it so much healthier than regular bread that uses commercial yeast. It's the long process of soaking that helps the body digest the grains.
You got to trust the process, people.
You got to trust the long process.
76ers fans, you know what I'm talking about.
Gosh. Okay, I didn't know that was a reference. Great. Wonderful. So what happens is the lactic acid increases, and then these things called phytates decrease. Phytates block important nutrients and minerals. So we don't want phytates in our food. We want to fight them. Yes. So sourdough bread also produces lysine. This is an essential amino acid that must be obtained from diet. There isn't another way to get it into our bodies. So that's great. And then sourdough bread also helps pre-digest starches. So it helps break down gluten. This is great. I know a lot of people deal with gluten intolerance. And have you tried sourdough? Real, good quality sourdough bread. And also, might I add, sourdough bread that uses whole wheat, not just white wheat or white flour. So sourdough bread is fantastic, and it's good for our body, and it is a long process.
Yep, super slow.
Did you know you were going to get all that wonderful information about sourdough bread? You're welcome.
I've heard it before.
Yes. I had to consult my notes because it's a lot of information, but it's good.
We also have the wonderful joy every time she's making sourdough of hearing
Oh my gosh, here we go.
I don't know how it's going to turn out.
Yeah, it's like a drinking game. I say it so often. If only we drank. Because
no, that would be
it would be
worse.
A fun game.
That would be worse because we'd be drinking way too much.
Okay. It's true, though. I don't know how it's going to come out, Steve. I don't know. I think it's overproofed. I think I left it out on the counter too long.
And then it comes out perfect and delicious.
Yeah, my last few loaves have been good.
Or it comes out flat and she thinks it's ugly, but I still eat it and the kids still eat it and everything's fine.
I like to look at it as a little bit of a surprise in my life. Hey, this is good for my type A personality. Things out of my control.
So another reason to slow down that we've learned specifically here in Spain, in our Pueblo life, is siesta culture.
Oh boy.
Or in a broader sense, when is it time to start a new project or build something new or change things up? Almost never. Because there's always a reason to relax and just enjoy community. So here's an example. We were having some coffee with a friend and she was telling us just about this situation. So it's after Christmas and New Year's, then there's Carnival, and then in Valencia, then there's Fallas. So basically from Christmas time on, it's like, but there's this coming up, this guy, we gotta wait till that festival's over, I'm not gonna do anything. But then, after Fallas, usually Easter, and then school's letting out for the summer, and everyone shuts down here in August. So you can't do anything till after August. So maybe September through November.
But then there are individual town festivals randomly dispersed throughout the year. Puthol, which was the city we first lived in when we moved here, has theirs in September, as we discovered when we moved. And then October has a week with 2 national holidays, and then All Saints Day to start November. And oh my gosh, it's like when do you do a project?
You shouldn't. You should just relax, slow down, and enjoy being in the community that you have right now.
Which does make me a little concerned because we do need to redo our primary bathroom in this house.
It's not a good time.
I know. I'm a little concerned. And all we hear are these stories of, our friends are getting their kitchen redone right now. And it's taken, I don't know, double, triple, quadruple the amount of time that they were kind of told at the onset. So, yikes. We're just going to expect it to be a long process. Maybe that's why we're putting off even starting it, because we know once we start it, it's just going to be a slog.
But what's the good about this?
Yes.
What's the good, Jen? The good. Yes. Not the slog, the good. My goodness, we're slowing down for a reason.
Oh, gosh. There is a lot of good about slowing down in life. Like Steve said, you notice things a little bit more. Even going back to the clothes, like touching each piece of clothing as you hang dry and like folding it over and clipping it with the clothespin. And it's more hands-on, and you notice things about the clothing like, oh, this is wearing out right here, or we should switch this out, or this and that. I think it's kind of beautiful, actually. Like, I didn't start off the bat loving hang drying clothes, but I've come to appreciate it and just know, like, yep, I'm going to take the clothes up to the terrace. It's going to be a while. So I might put on my audiobook. I try to listen to audiobooks in Castellano to help me learn the language, and something like that. And I enjoy normally it's sunny. I enjoy the sun and the beautiful day outside.
The birds.
Of course, the birds. Love the birds. And try to appreciate I have the ability to take it slow, and just to appreciate that I get that time.
So here are some other good things about siesta culture. Now, we call it siesta culture to us because siesta is basically this after lunch to before dinner time where nothing's open.
Yeah.
Usually 2 to 4. But I just saw in our Pueblo a new sign for summer hours, basically starting in June, that they're closed from 2 to 5:30 because it gets too hot.
Yeah,
and
right.
Because they don't have air conditioning, they just close for the hottest parts of the day.
Yeah, that is true. They
just close.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And it's like, wait, but I wanted to go there. It's like, slow down. Mm-hmm. Enjoy it when you can really enjoy it. It's not enjoyable to be in here or to be at that park or to be over there when it's that hot.
Right. It does force you to slow down, and it forces you to plan a little bit more when you're going to do your grocery shopping, or, things here also are closed on Sundays. Like you don't do grocery shopping on a Sunday here because almost well, actually our little market is open on Sundays. It's like the only one, but all the bigger grocery store chains are closed on Sundays. I think even like the sports stores and like everything is pretty well closed on Sundays. And so it does kind of force you to do other things on that day. Like maybe you're spending time with your family. It is the weekend. After all, the kids are home from school, and you do see a lot of families here just going out to the park. And I don't totally know what families do during siesta time when, if you do go outside, it's like a ghost town. So are they actually sleeping? Are they inside watching a movie?
Sometimes we sleep. I've gotten used to that.
I have taken a few naps, definitely.
So just a shout out to those listeners who are frustrated every Sunday in the States when Chick-fil-A is not open.
I want my Chick-fil-A and I want it now.
Imagine that with just about every business you can think of here.
And somehow it does not bother us at all because you become accustomed to it. You adapt. And I think for us, it's been better. It forces us to plan a little bit better and slow down. And
you appreciate that the working conditions are better for those people. There's a guaranteed day that they have off. Now, for some businesses, they do operate on Sundays, but they make sure to take Monday or Tuesday off.
Or both Monday and Tuesday.
And then you're like, oh, but I wanted to go there on Tuesday. Give them a break. It's just their job.
Give them a break. Break me off a piece of that.
Fancy feet.
I can't remember.
Anyway. So the working hours in Spain are still something we're coming to terms with.
Yeah, getting used to.
But we like it.
Yeah.
We're pretty sure we like it.
Yes, because it's promoting life, not work. And that feels like a difference from, or a contrast to the States, where things seem to be open all the time, late into the night.
Some 24 hours.
Are open all night. Although in high school, that 24-hour donut shop in Cupertino was pretty great. As a teenager, you're hanging out. You're super cool, late at night. You want to hang with your friends and go to the donut shop.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, as a good kid, I wasn't doing bad things. I was going to get donuts. Mm-hmm. Anyway.
So there are a lot of other things that move slower in life, and we don't always appreciate them. But here, we've seen it, and it brings a smile to our face.
Yeah.
So if you're stuck, we've talked about crosswalks before, but if you're stuck at a crosswalk and someone is slowly
Like you mean in your car?
Yeah, you're stuck in your car at a crosswalk and someone is very slowly crossing the street. You're like, oh my gosh, please just go across the street. I don't feel that much anymore.
Yeah. You're just like, oh, whatever. Take your time.
Because here's who does that. Old people.
Yeah. Old people with their carritos, which are these little rolling shopping bags that all the old people use. It's kind of like old person chic to use a carrito. And they use it for everything, any errands, grocery stores, whatever. And they put their stuff in there and they just roll it around. Wherever they want to go.
But how great is it that they are out and about?
Right.
That's what I love.
Yes, I know. I told Steve that I wanted to do a whole episode on the culture of old people here being so active. But here we are, and they are everywhere,
Sometimes they're not as active. They're just sitting on the benches at the Huteman, but they're out.
They're outside. They're not inside their houses or their apartments.
And they're taking life slow.
And they meet up with their other old friends to go grocery shopping together. It is so cute. And all the time we'll just be out walking around. Of course, we know nobody, but we always see these old people, old guys, not necessarily old, but it just seems like there are a lot of old people here. Just meeting and greeting and seeing their buddies out and about, just on the street, oh, hey, how's it going? Da, 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 da. All in, Castellano, but
some in Valenciano.
Sure, yes, definitely. And we definitely don't know what they're saying other than they're greeting each other. They seem to know each other. Okay. But that kind of life where you're in this small town and most people and you go out to do an errand and you see a couple people that that's neat to me. It's like a slower pace of life.
Yeah, you can slow down because you're going to run into people you know. You know it's going to take longer to go to the grocery store when you know people.
Yeah, because you're going to stop and chat.
Slow down.
Yeah.
Stop. Chat.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
Also, another fun thing that was slowly crossing the road one time, we saw it, made us smile, was an old person, but they weren't alone.
Mm-hmm. Oh, this was the best. I love this so much. I see this quite often here in Spain, and it is an old person with their adult child holding their hand crossing the street. And it warms my heart so much. I love my parents, and I don't have them anymore. And so I feel like I see this all the time. We were just talking about this in one of the episodes where when you don't have something or you're hoping for something, you see it everywhere.
Frequency illusion.
There it is. Yeah. So I see it all the time. Mothers and their adult daughters, fathers and their adult sons, or mix and match. But they're holding hands and it's just so sweet. And they're just taking it slow, living life.
Now, we also see young people going very slowly across the road because they're just smaller. And they're usually going with their parents, and they're slowly crossing the road. And we know that because we sometimes have to go very slowly with our children when we would just otherwise want to walk across the street. And so in other ways, it helps you slow down. And we are trying to appreciate that more and more. But we had one other old person anecdote for you. It happened just the other day. We don't really know why still.
Oh my gosh.
But Jen,
so strange.
Jen heard some stuff. Oh my gosh.
I am in the kitchen and I hear our gate that like you open a gate to get onto our front porch, which then takes you to our front door. I heard the gate rattling. I'm like, that is our gate. What is going on? And then I saw kind of like some movement because we have these glass bricks kind of, I don't know how else to describe them, in our living room that like go out to the front porch. So you can see like movement, but you can't see through. It's not like clear glass. And I saw movement. I was like, what? Okay, what is happening? So then I tiptoe back to the kitchen and I turn the video on because we have like a video camera with the doorbell. And I see this old man sticking his cane through the wrought iron bars of our gate. And I don't know what. I don't know what he's doing. Like, what are you doing? What's that? And I just like, and then I'm like, okay, somehow did he drop something? And it ended up on our side of the gate and he's trying to get it with his cane? I was so confused. So I went to the door. I opened it slowly as to not surprise him. And I said, can I help you? And he proceeded to tell me, oh, like, no, I was just admiring these rocks.
Taking time to look at the rocks that our kids have just dragged from the beach and just strewn about the front porch.
If you have kids, you know this to be true. There is a fascination with rocks for whatever reason. I was fascinated with rocks when I was a kid too, but every time we come back to the beach, pockets are full of rocks, and we are trying to at least say, just keep them outside. Like, okay, you have rocks. Whatever, just keep them outside. Don't bring them into the house. So they end up on our front porch. And so there are quite a few. And then the next thing that our kids have started really enjoying doing is taking them out to the front promenade to a bench and hammering them to see if there are geodes inside, which there aren't ever geodes inside, but it's like always the hope, right? I remember doing this as a kid. It's when I hammered my thumb. That didn't feel good. So I don't know, this old man, he was admiring the rocks and he was saying like, well, they were kind of interesting and pretty. And I was like, oh, yep, they're from my kids from the beach, you know? And he's like, oh, okay. And then it was like, okay, ciao, adios. And he went on his way.
Just slowly going about life, enjoying what you can see when you slow down.
Yeah.
So Jen had mentioned this to me the other day. Like, proverb of sort.
Yeah, it's like a proverb. And somebody was complaining about doing something like, well, I'm not going to, let's just take, for example, go to graduate school or something. I'm not going to go to graduate school. That's going to take like 2 or 3 years. And then the proverb is basically saying, the time is going to pass anyway.
Yeah.
And that really hit me hard. I really, really liked that because I think of our language development, of course, and how, at the beginning of all this, if somebody were to have said to me, it's going to take 10 years for you to really be comfortable in the language, I may not have wanted to do this adventure at all. You know what I mean? Well, like going to Ecuador to begin with, I might not have even wanted to do that because it was a huge move. So, but the time is going to pass anyway. And now we're just living in Spain. And that time is going to pass anyway. And we're actively learning the language. We're doing what we can. And we're going to get it.
It might take all those 10 years.
It might.
And then some.
But it's not like we're twiddling our thumbs. We're doing our best and we're getting out there and we're listening to it, we're speaking it, we're reading it. So it's gonna come.
Slowly.
And that's okay.
Also, some people say, I'm not gonna save this $5. That's ridiculous. I'm gonna spend it now and enjoy life.
Yeah.
Because saving it, what's that gonna do? It's gonna take forever to make anything that's worthwhile.
Yeah.
It's like, well, yes, but time will pass anyway.
Right.
So save and save and save. And yes, retirement might be years or even decades away. But if you don't start saving, it won't be there in the future. So if you know some of our story, we've talked about it back in season 1, we saved aggressively and invested wisely so that we could retire early. Even though that retirement was 10 years away from when I said we were going to be ready.
Remind the good gentlemen and gentlewomen, at what age did we start really looking to think about retirement?
Okay, well, that requires a little bit more backstory. Real quick, I got some money from my grandparents when I graduated high school, immediately invested with my brother. So I invested as soon as I could.
Who is a financial advisor?
Yes.
Handy. Shout out to Bob Knapp at Edward Jones. If you need a financial advisor, he's great.
We don't have commercials on this, but...
But he's our family, and he's fantastic. We love him.
Anyway. And we were relatively frugal even when we first got married. So we had been saving, but we also weren't making a lot, and we had no goal in mind. But then when we had a child, it's 2014, we have a 2-year-old, and I'd rather be with my son than work. Mm-hmm. And so I was reading things and I was like, well, in 10 years' time, we can probably get enough where we can walk away. It is 10 years later from that time when I first started reading.
Yeah.
And we had saved enough, and we do have enough that we are retired.
Right. At 42, if you couldn't do that 10-year mather.
There you go. So was it many, many years away? Sure. But time will pass anyway. What aren't you doing now that you could be doing so that in years later you will have a skill or an asset or something, because time will pass anyway? This could be, like we already mentioned, a language or better physical condition, or, oh gosh, I don't want to raise a child. That'll take 18 years.
Oh gosh, that is true. And that's a lot. And then you have multiple kids, and then you keep adding to that. It's more than 18 years. Oh, now it's another 3. Now it's another 3.
And you avoid it. But time will pass anyway.
Yeah. And it is a time period of having to, I don't know, you have to be more selfless as a parent. And that's not very much fun. You just don't get to do what you want to do. It's like, all right, hey, we're going to plan this Saturday full of activities that are for mostly our kids, because that's what you do as parents when the kids are home. You know, we're not going to go to like some museum that we would really like to go to because the kids are going to be wild. It's going to be a total nightmare. So it's like, okay, well, let's plan to go to this park. But
also in that aspect of parenting, helping them learn to slow down instead of all of the easy access, immediate gratification type things that kids are getting used to. Slow them down. Slow yourselves down. I mean, let's be honest. We're guilty of it ourselves, so we can't just be, sitting on a high horse. Holier
than thou.
Right, or a high horse type of thing. In the mornings, it's like, okay, kids, you gotta wake up, get dressed, eat breakfast, get in the car, head to school. Our youngest has the hardest time with this. He just is slow in the morning.
Oh, he's so cute, though. He's 5.
Or just the time it takes to go anywhere with children. Those with children, you understand this.
And you're like, come on, hurry up. We're going to go do something fun for you. Do you understand this?
And it's maddening. Oh. It's absolutely maddening. Or this one, there's always some pushback when going to bed.
Yeah.
But why? Why is there pushback? Look at it from their perspective. They're awake. And whatever it is about life, they want more of that. They want to stay awake. They have a fear of missing out on something. They don't want to go to bed. It's so great.
Yeah.
How great is that you're waiting, I need to stay up.
Yeah, I tuck in the middle child at the moment. We kind of like switch around, but right at the moment, the routine is that I'm tucking in the middle child, Shade. And he inevitably, we have this whole routine of what we do. We read, we say a prayer, and then we listen to some audiobook, and then I say goodnight to him and I leave. He always, unless he's already asleep, wants me to stay just a little while longer. And I always say yes. Because I know that this is not going to be forever. He wants to be with me and I feel honored. And so if he says, can you just stay a little longer? I always say yes. Like, what do I need to rush out to get to, at night? Like, go watch something on Netflix or read my own book or clean the kitchen? Ugh. I can just stay for 5 more minutes. What's 5 minutes going to do? And so I'm just with him, And it's nice.
Yes, so when I do this with our youngest, and he asks me to stay, if he usually falls asleep, but if he asks me to stay, I am close to 90+% of falling asleep with him.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it just happens. The lights are out, I'm relatively comfortable, I probably fall asleep before he does. It's over.
Yeah.
And then, if Jen were looking to hang out with me, she might as well stay with Shade, because I'm asleep.
Well, isn't that the truth? Yeah.
All that to say, there's a lot of good that can come from slowing down.
Right. We're learning that more living in Spain, but I think it's a lesson that everyone, no matter where you live, can take with you to just slow down a little bit. Be the old man checking out the rocks on the porch.
And don't get yourself a radar-induced fine.
We are Red Weather Christians.
I'm Steve.
And I'm Jen. And remember, cheer the good.
Don't boo the bad.